Hello, this is a video for event operations staff, those people on your staff that are in charge of setting up events or delivering equipment, AV, facilities, catering, things like that. I'm going to show you how to get the most out of using Mazévo from your phone. Now, the way that Mazévo is accessed is it's actually done through the web browser. You do not have to go to the App Store on your phone and download any kind of an app. However, the very first thing I want to show you is how to make it work like an app on your phone. So even though we're going to do this in the browser, you're going to see here that I can install this just like an app on my phone. So the first thing you're going to do when you go to Mazévo is you're going to open up your web browser of choice. So on my phone here, I happen to be using an iPhone. I'm going to go into Safari, and in my browser, I'm going to type in, I'm just going to go to mymazévo.com. Okay. And you go there. Now, when you first come here, Mazévo is going to present you with a little welcome dialogue, and it's going to say, hey, for the best experience, please install this on your home screen. So I would highly recommend you do this because this is going to save you time every time you go to log in to Mazévo that way. And the steps are right here. You're going to press the share button, step one, and then you're going to click add to home screen. Now, Again, I'm on an iPhone, but this works very similar for a Chrome browser on Android there. So essentially what you do is you just click the little share button, which on my screen is down here at the bottom. And then once I do that, I will scroll down there and you see where it says add to home screen right there. I click that, I give it a name and hit add. Now I've already done this in this case here, so I'm not going to do it again. But, you know, you can just go with the defaults that are right there. That's fine. And then once you've done that, you'll see it puts a little shortcut right here. So I've got the Mazévo logo on the second row down here. So now when I tap on that, it's actually going to bring me right into Mazévo right here. And the other nice thing about doing this is it really gives you the feel of working in an app like you're on an app store. So definitely do that if you haven't already. Install it on your phone's home screen. Okay, so now that we're in the app, you're probably going to see a menu similar to this. Yours may look a little different. You may have some more options depending on what your organization has given you to allow you to do things. However, I'm just going to go through some of the most common ones in here, and we're going to focus on the option at the bottom that just says operations at the very bottom right there. So you'll probably have an option like that in your menu. So you're just going to tap on it. And what this does is this is going to show me a list of all the events that are happening today that require various kinds of setups. So I can scroll through that list and see what they are. Now, the very first thing I would recommend that you do the first time you come into this app is you hit the settings button, which is over here in the top right. You see where it says settings up there? And you're going to tap that. The reason you want to do this is because this gets it set up for the way that you're going to use Mazévo. So the first thing you're going to do here is you're going to see a list of all the buildings that are set up in your Mazévo system. And you just want to make sure that the buildings that you work in are already checked. Now, by default, it's going to have everything checked for you already. But if there's certain buildings that you don't work in, like I don't work in this FCC building, I'm going to turn that off. What that does is Mazévo will then not show you any events that require setups in that building. So if you only work in a specific building in your organization, you'll want to set that. The next thing you want to set are statuses. So you can turn off some of these statuses if they're really not relevant. In most cases, things like request or tentative aren't really relevant to people because you're setting things up for the day, and hopefully there's not ever going to be anything that's still in a request or a tentative status. But it's really not going to hurt anything if you leave them on, so that's fine. The most important one is this final tab here where it says service providers. Now, what this is, these are all the service providers you have configured in your Mazévo system. So if you only work with catering or you only work with audiovisual, well, then you're going to want to uncheck everything and only check the ones that apply to you. And because that's just going to really simplify the whole experience for you. So again, as you can see here, by default, everything is checked. So I'm going to go ahead and, for demo purposes here, I'll leave them all checked here today, but you'll probably want to go in and, turn some of these off if they're not relevant for you. So anyways, just go ahead and set that the way you want and then hit save. That will save your settings and you never have to really touch those again. So that's what that does. Now that we're looking at my list of events in here, I can see everything that's scheduled for the day, and I'll just tap on one of these, like this diversity council right here. And what this does is this has a whole list of things that are required for this event. So I can see in this case when it's happening, that all that information's up at the top, but then I can see down here it says facilities not started, and there's some information like adding 100 chairs and a trash can. Now, I can actually go in here and mark these as completed. So if I do that, it's going to go ahead and mark it as completed. And you can see it puts a little checkbox next to the word facilities here, so everybody knows it's completed. And it also puts my name. I'm signed in as somebody named John Smith right here. So it'll say assigned to John Smith. So that way everybody knows that, okay, John's the one that took care of this particular event here. And then down here, audio visual, I see the same thing. There's some things that are required, and I can mark that as complete. Now, depending on how your organization has this set up, you may or may not see these in progress and completed, not started boxes here for you to check, and that's totally fine. Some organizations don't give you the option of marking things as complete, or if you don't deal with audio visual equipment, you might see the information here, but because you don't deal with that, there's no way for you to mark it as complete. That's for the audio visual staff to do. So anyways, I can go in and I can mark off the ones that I have finished and completed that way. And if I close that screen and we go back out here, you can see on this Diversity Council one, the facilities is checked and it's marked as complete right there. Another thing that your organization may or may not do is this only show my work. If we go back up to the top underneath the date and I tap on that, what that's going to do is it's going to filter down the list of things that are assigned to me. So that's either things that I've already marked as complete, like these top two up here, or these two underneath that are not marked as complete, but have been assigned to me by like a manager or somebody like that. So I can go in and I know that, okay, I have work to do here. Again, if your organization doesn't do that, you're going to check that box and everything will disappear and you'll be like, okay, that doesn't really do a whole lot. So check with your organization and find out if that's even something you're using. Another thing I wanted to show you is that some of the events may have a little box next to them. See where this little box is right here where it says conference room 2. Well, the box is there to signify that there is a room diagram attached to this event. So if there is a room diagram, I can get to it by clicking on the diagram right here and it will pull it up for me and I can view it on my phone that way. Go back to Mazévo, or I can click into the event by just tapping the event itself, and I see all this other information similar to what we looked at before, but here the room diagram is right there at the bottom, kind of up at the top. So if I click room diagram there, it brings me back into it that way. So a few ways that Mazévo lets you know when there is a room diagram attached. The last thing I'm going to mention here is these things called work items. If you go back up to the top here, you see a little number 2 in the circle next to the word work items. If we tap that, you'll see these are other work items that I can do that are not associated with a booking. So in this case here, there's a monthly AV inventory check that's not been started and daily facilities tasks. So depending on if I'm the one that's going to be working on those, I can just tap on the word not started right here. And I get to see a screen where, much like the other one, I can mark them as in progress or complete. I also have the option to put some notes in. And there's a little icon over here for a picture. So if I tap that, I can use my phone's camera to take a picture maybe of, you know, whatever it was I was working on or something like that, and submit that with the event. So you do have that option as well with all of these. So I can just go ahead and say, yep, I went ahead and did that, mark it as complete, and notice it takes it off my list that way. And then there's only one other thing. So work items, if your organization's using those, you will see the little number next to it to let you know how many work items are out there. Last thing before I forget, back on these events here under the bookings tab, if I tap on that, you will see where it says in the facilities area down here, you will see these icons again, the little notes and pictures. So I do, if I'm the one who's doing the facilities things and maybe I completed that task, again, it puts my name next to it. But then if I want to, I can add additional notes by just clicking on that, or I can click on the picture icon and take a picture of the setup that way. So that is available on every single one of these. You do have that option. So anyways, I hope that was helpful. Just wanted to point out a few common things here that people do with the mobile app. If you have any additional questions for us, please do reach out to support@mymazévo.com. I'm sorry, support@gomazévo.com, and we'll be happy to help you out that way. Thanks a lot.